Today, we're talking about something huge, a retirement surprise that almost nobody sees coming, and that's the real, true cost of healthcare. Okay, let's just jump right in. Look at that number on your screen, almost $1 million. That is the projected lifetime healthcare cost for a healthy 65-year-old couple who's planning to retire in 2026. Yeah, it's a shocking number, and it is the big problem we are tackling today.
And honestly, this is why that number is so incredibly dangerous. So many of us think, oh, Medicare's got my back, I'm covered. But if you treat it like some simple set it and forget it safety net, well, you could be walking right into a massive financial trap. We're talking about hitting costs and something that's basically a rich retiree tax.
So you're probably wondering, how in the world do we get to a number that high? Let's break it down. We are going to dig into the official data, and we're going to look at a key tax mandate that is changing the entire retirement game as we know it. All right, this right here really shows you the gap between what we think we'll pay and what the reality is. The base lifetime premiums for Medicare, yeah, they're already incredibly high. We're talking almost $700,000. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. The second you start adding in the things most of us are actually going to need, like deductibles, copays, dental work, that number just skyrockets to nearly $1 million. And look, these aren't just some numbers we pulled out of thin air. This data comes straight from HealthView Services, and they're a firm that meticulously tracks these kinds of retirement costs. So the picture it's painting, it's crystal clear. This brings us to this kind of a behavioral trap that financial advisors talk about. They call it the every day is Saturday syndrome. And it makes sense, right? You retire, you've got all this free time, which usually means you're spending more money. But while you're budgeting for all that fun, your healthcare costs are just silently climbing in the background. Okay, so now let's get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to look at 3 hidden gaps that let these costs just drain your nest egg, often without you even realizing it's happening. Okay, this first gap is, well, it's pretty simple, but it is absolutely devastating. Just look at this chart. Healthcare costs, they're projected to go up by 5.8% a year. But your Social Security cost of living adjustments, the COLAs, they're only estimated to go up by 2.4%. So what does that mean? It means your medical bills are growing more than twice as fast as your Social Security check. You are literally losing ground every single year. And this, right here, this shows you the long-term damage of that. Because of that inflation gap, a 55-year-old couple today is projected to need 104% of their future Social Security benefits just to cover their medical bills. I mean, just think about that for a second. Your entire Social Security check, plus a little extra, could be going straight to healthcare. Now for the second gap. This is what's known as the rich retiree tax. Now, the official name is IRMAA, the Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. It's basically a surcharge that Medicare slaps onto your premiums if your income in retirement is over a certain limit. It's almost like a penalty for being a successful saver. I just look at how steep these cliffs are. The income numbers you see here, those are for couples filing jointly. If your income goes just $1 over that first threshold of $136,000, bam, your premiums instantly jump by 34%. And if you're at the top, you're paying more than triple the base premium. This isn't small change. This can add hundreds of thousands of dollars to your costs over a lifetime. And you know what? It's about to get even trickier to avoid this. There's a new law, the Secure 2.0 Act, and it takes full effect in 2026. It's going to make it much easier to accidentally fall into one of these traps and trigger those higher premiums. So keep that in mind, because when we get to the strategy part, I'm going to show you exactly how to plan for it. On top of everything else we've talked about, there's another hidden factor, and some people call it the longevity penalty. And it's pretty straightforward. Because women, on average, live longer than men, their projected lifetime healthcare costs end up being significantly higher. We're talking about a 63-year-old woman potentially paying 27% more just because her costs are spread out over more years. Okay, and that brings us to the third and, frankly, the most dangerous gap of all, what Medicare simply will not cover. And this is the big one, folks. We are talking about most kinds of long-term care, the very things many of us might need later in life, like a skilled nursing facility, assisted living, or even just having a health aide at home. And the cost for this stuff? It's astronomical. By 2036, a single year in a skilled nursing facility is projected to cost over $155,000. For a lot of people, that's enough to completely wipe out decades of hard-earned savings in just a couple of years. And this is really where the financial risk starts to become an emotional one.
Experts talk about the honeymoon stage of retirement, that amazing initial period of freedom and fun. But a long-term care crisis that you haven't planned for, that can plunge you right into what they call the disenchantment stage, where all that joy is replaced by worry and financial stress.
Okay, I know that was a lot of bad news, but you are not powerless here. So let's talk about a specific strategy, a game plan you can use to protect your retirement from these exact risks. I like to call this the safe switch strategy, and it has three main parts. First, there's the HSA bronze switch. Thanks to some new rules, you can contribute to a health savings account, which is like a triple tax-advantaged powerhouse, even if you have a lower premium bronze health plan. Using an HSA is one of the best ways to lower your taxable income and help you stay under those IRMAA cliffs. Second, you have to sequence your income. What that means is being really strategic about when you take big capital gains or when you do your Roth conversions. See, one big withdrawal can spike your income for a year, and because of the look-back rules, it can trigger 2 years of higher Medicare premiums. You have to plan these things out carefully. And finally, and this might be the most important part, you have to shift your whole mindset from just accumulation to navigation. Retirement planning isn't just about how much money you've saved, it's about how intelligently you use that money to navigate the tax system. This kind of planning is your absolute best defense. Because at the end of the day, here's what it all comes down to. The real risk isn't just about running out of money. It's about arriving at retirement with a great nest egg, but being life poor, unable to actually enjoy the freedom you worked so hard for because of financial stress from healthcare that you just didn't see coming. And speaking of planning for things you don't see coming, these healthcare costs aren't the only surprise that's headed for retirees. There is another major change on the horizon that you really need to know about. So, what about that $6,000 Social Security senior bonus that a lot of retirees are actually about to lose because of new income rules? Well, we break that whole thing down in our very next explainer. Just click right here to watch it now.